I am Paige Dimage, and welcome back to Tea Time Podcast. This is part 2 of 3, and there are heavy spoilers ahead for Genshin Impact, Wearing Vase, and maybe AFK Journey as we kind of get sidetracked. With that out of the way, thank you and enjoy. Now let's talk about those questionable characters they have on the banner.
Well,
a
who are we talking about here? 'Cause
friendly
there's three.
reminder: you're not supposed to go for anyone under the age of 18, regardless of the laws in your country. Please stick with adults, you freaking weirdo. Because Genshin has a problem.
But then what
problem.
happens when the new god character is an obvious child? Like,
At least
China,
in this
please.
Genshin really has a god child.
It actually has a god kid. Kid god.
It does.
I mean, like, the one thing I will say is I do actually kind of like how they did the Archons. Because the Archons aren't ever really characters that are supposed to be, like, front and center or, like, doing the huge hits. Like, obviously you can build the Raiden Shogun for, like, insane
I think
ult
they're all
trips.
support. They're all of
Exactly.
them. None of them are DPS, but it makes sense
Exactly.
story wise. And usually
Yeah.
story wise, there's a reason for why they are not using their entire skills set.
Yeah, and like it goes very, like, it's very godlike in that I'm not going to solve your problem. I'm going to help you figure out how to solve your problem. Like
Yeah,
that's the
basically.
general ethos. So it
Which
makes
is
sense
not
that they're
fair because
more
we
supportive
solve their
characters.
problems.
Well, yeah, but I
Um,
mean, Morax can wake up and start minting coins any day now, I suppose.
Nah, the economy will survive. It's fine.
Yeah, Zhongli would rather yap about osmanthus wine.
I'm sure there's a reason behind it. We just don't know it, and it looks in retrospect weird. But when it comes to the main
Yeah.
Archon quest, I feel like they have a direction for it.
Yeah, definitely, and like that's still the most interesting part of the story for me. And yeah, I also know, like, just in case anybody's like, he actually can't mint any more currency because, yes, I know his gnosis was taken and that's why he doesn't do it.
Yeah, so he doesn't have a
He-
nose
He's
anymore.
unable to do it anymore. Yeah, they took him. They took him.
But
Nose.
we
He didn't even have
promise
the
no
line.
spoilers.
Well, I mean, like that's like week 1 spoilers. Like that's nothing. And like I know that
Damn.
there's gonna be lore people who are like, actually. So I always like to clarify, like, don't worry, I know the reason, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but never mind.
But,
I don't know why I even tried. I should have put a spoiler warning. I'm just gonna put
here's the thing.
a retroactively spoiler warning because
Yeah, you
I
have the magic
failed.
of editing. Here, hold on. I'm gonna peek the mic so that you can cut out the peeking of the mic. So, okay, you can put in editing, skip to this point, and then on the sound wave, you'll see exactly where to move it to because there's gonna be a huge spike in volume. Okay, so there you go.
I am not sure that was a good idea. I'm just I can just mark the time and put a timer in the
you could, but
description,
this
right?
way's more fun. This way's way more fun.
Yeah, anyway, if you think we're not gonna spoiler anymore, bro, we just started. Anyway, yeah, so the thing that bugs me is the amount of children, young people characters in Genshin.
Yeah.
Especially since they have the most boring ass stories to ever appear. All of them are wholesome, cute beans that are cute and wholesome, and literally everyone who's not an adult, because adults in Genshin are traumatized,
Very
workaholic,
smooth,
sad people.
Yeah,
But
that too.
outside of this, then there's Furina. We don't talk about Furina. But a lot of the other characters just have basic life. Like there's Opera Girl over there, Yunjing, who pisses
Yeah.
me off because her entire character, and I shit you not, from the morning she wakes up to the moment she goes to bed, she's all about opera. Like this girl has
Yeah.
nothing in her head outside of opera. She does not exist. If something happens to that opera troupe, she's fucking dead. She does not exist anymore. Poof, out of existence. And
She
I
lived
understand.
on the stage.
Chinese culture and all that, really
Yeah.
nice. But
She's the character of like, please listen to Chinese opera, please,
yeah,
please.
literally, she's a walking advert. And it's annoying
It's
because she
something of
has
like,
such a nice design. She has one
yeah.
of the nicest designs. Like
And like I understand wanting to accentuate this character has a deal, this character has a thing. And like this is what this character does. Like, you know, Xiangling really likes rock and roll, metal, this kind of stuff. Don't pay attention to the fact that we could have had her playing guitar in the music post that we made when we for some reason gave her a piano or like a trumpet or something like that. And it's like she already plays an instrument. Why did you do this?
I
But
wasn't
like,
affected because I never watched the extra
oh my
stuff.
god, it was so stupid. Like everybody's in this like it's a whole thing that's like music themed of like Genshin's OST release and like there's all characters who are like on a stage and like playing different musical instruments. And for some reason they gave Xiangling the exact instrument that she doesn't play. And it's so dumb. It was so funny. And it was like something that just aggressively wasn't her style as well.
It's even funnier if there's a character actually having a guitar in there.
There was. It's the worst thing. But like, so yeah, I get everybody having a thing, but it becomes unbelievable character writing when it's like you have
Everything.
you have Ash,
Everything.
yeah. You have Ash from Pokemon, and he's the Pokemon guy. He does Pokemon. His entire life is Pokemon. His world is Pokemon. This is how he solves his problems. This is how he approaches every situation. I
The
wonder how I can solve this with Pokemon. And then, like, right next to him, you've got Tyson from Beyblade, and he's only used to dealing with Beyblades. And like, oh, I wonder how I can shoot my Beyblade to sort this situation out. And it's like, these are not real people. Maybe in a world where the like everything is that thing, like in those shows, that makes sense because the
yeah,
entire world pushes you towards that.
it's
But
Danganronpa on crack.
yeah, it's ridiculous. So like it does get a little bit extreme of like I'm all about cooking like what's her name? She has a very similar name to Shangling, which is again this is another slight issue
Yeah,
I have
yeah,
with characters
the cooking
from
girl.
UA.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Like
forgot.
I can't remember any of their names
No,
because they
I
all have
think
very
it's
similar
Xiangling,
like
the girl who cooks, and I think it's Xinyan, the girl with the rocking rock music.
you see what I mean?
Yeah, no, it gets
So
kind of yeah,
it's
fair enough.
very, very similar. And like
Yeah.
I understand like somebody from another culture will say the same about like the names Greg and George, for example. That's probably very difficult to discern. So like I completely understand that, but it does get very confusing sometimes.
Yeah, and then
Um
there's the femboy who, yeah,
Bennett
the guy with the books.
with the books.
Yeah, he also has a similar name, and I can never get him.
Oh
Blue
no.
hair, yellow like haircut.
Oh, Water Boy.
Yeah, Water Boy.
Uh
Yep.
yeah, Water Sword Boy. I can't yeah,
Yeah,
I
Water Sword Boy. Yep,
cannot
that guy.
remember his name.
That
You
guy.
use him from day one as well. I have him on a build.
Water Sword Boy. That's his name. I have
Oh
Ayaro, so
god.
I don't give a shit about him.
But
In
then
his
this
Water
this
Sword.
goes to say like this is how unique or interesting the character names are because they all sound very similar. Whereas like Diluc I will always remember, Eula I will always remember. You know, like Venti is cool because Venti is the Latin like it includes the Latin word for air, like being Ventus. And like that makes sense because he's the Wind Archon, so that is
I mean, it
evocative of like
probably makes
what that is.
sense. In Chinese, probably has very
Maybe
significant names. We just don't know
I'm
from this
probably
side.
just like horrifically uncultured.
Probably, yeah. But the
That's
issue
likely what
for
it is.
me is that these characters are boring. Like, take comparison with Baiju, whose whole thing is being a doctor, and he is quite obnoxious about it. But it's not just that he is the doctor. That's not his
Yeah.
whole thing. He has a side gig of I'm searching for fucking immortality and I'm cursed. You know,
Yeah.
like he has, you know, and there's something specific about his voice line telling you like, oh yeah, I occasionally give poisons to my patients. Don't worry, it's good for them.
Yeah.
Casually.
He's just vibing.
Or him admitting like he gives placebo. I just love the character. He's so
Yeah.
friendly but malicious at the same time.
And that's like another thing that's a little bit frustrating about Genshin sometimes is some of these purchase your waifu characters are genuinely really cool character concepts, but then like it's just it's kind of trapped in Genshin. And
Yeah,
like
and they don't do much with the characters. Like even
yeah,
in their own story, like you have story quests where you're specifically supposed to hang out, and you're
yeah,
hanging out with the character while they're doing something with another character. Like,
yeah.
can you not do anything without involving some unfortunate NPC into this?
Yeah. Or like the main issue is like you've purchased your waifu, you get a single quest. There you go. That is all you will ever have to do with this character. They will not be relevant in any cutscene going forwards.
Yeah, they're just done. Goodbye. You will
Yeah.
never see them. You'll see them in events when we feel like it, but they're not gonna do much.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be
It's
there
like
for show.
honestly, that is kind of where they're like missing a trick a little bit sometimes, where they should involve characters like sure if you want to yap about kites, but what the hell does Diluc think about kites? What does Toma think about kites? You know, like give me
And
characters that I can
honestly,
choose
it would be
from.
very fun seeing Bennett do a kite because I'm sure there's some way this can result in the death of three innocent
Oh
people.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, like Bennett, like he tries to do like a cool like kite flying thing. Somehow the apocalypse happens. Everyone's turned into zombies. Everyone's dying. That's
That
just how it is from
or
now on. PHL
I
premise.
don't understand how they had Kaya in Klee in the same event and managed it to be boring when you have a single line in another quest that was vastly more interesting than the quest itself. Okay, I'm gonna spoil a little bit. I'm just gonna
Hmm.
put another timer. But basically, in the chasm, you have need to blow through something, and then you'll have to find your own way to blow it because there was supposed to be a specialist, a bomb specialist from Mondstadt,
Oh yeah.
who was supposed to come, but they received a letter that she's not coming because she's in detention because she was supposed to
Oh
come
yeah.
with Captain Kaya, but they stopped by at that restaurant immediately in front of the, in the square, and
Yeah.
they casually blew the roof off of it.
Sick.
Yeah, it is sick. Why couldn't I have that story quest?
Yeah, exactly. Like it's cool that they have that as a detail. Why don't we get to see stuff like that? Like it would be cool if like during the event or whatever, there's actual like physical property damage to that area, and then like you see the cutscene where it happens of
They
Klee being a
can
little
do it because they
rascal.
did that with the J chamber, which was actually kind of cool.
Yeah,
But going back to it, even just mentioning the characters when they are relevant to the story, like for example, when you have, like a raging Fatui, and you can say, "Man, Diluc would be very good here."
yeah,
Yeah, he'd beat the crap out of them. Generally mentioning the other characters as if they exist in their own world, but they don't.
mm,
Once you have gone out of the area, they cease to exist.
yeah.
And their
It's a
whole selling point is the characters. To not
yeah.
focus on the characters, almost criminal.
Like I used to be a Diluc main from like day one until I discovered Arataki Ito, my beloved. How dare they do my boy the way they did him because he looked so cool and buff in the previews, but then he's got boring noodle arms. Let my boy be buff. Like it's so
Oh,
dumb.
and then there are hate I'm coming around, which is literally a middle finger to all to
Yeah.
all Ito players. It's like what the fuck. And I
I was
absolutely hate him with a passion. Like I hate him so much that I actually hate the look less.
very fair. You know,
Yeah,
good.
and no, don't get me wrong. I don't think Tiluk is a bad character at all. I
Mm.
just it
He
didn't.
just was overly attached to you, and you didn't like that. I remember.
It was fucking personal.
He was clingy. He was the clingy tsundere where he would follow you, and then like you'd look at him, he'd be like, don't don't look at me. But then you'd like try and walk away, like fine, dick, and then he'd still follow you.
God damn it. The reason why I say this is that many people have played like for years and never seen one single Diluc. I have
Yeah,
him at C2 and his motherfucking weapon. And the thing
I
is, it happened in rapid succession. I
Right.
did a 10 pull and I got deluxe weapon. I was like, fine, whatever. Summon your weapon, why don't you? And then I wish
Yeah.
again, and then there's Diluc himself. And I'm like, can you please? Can I file a restraining order against you?
You know what? That's something that has forever infuriated me. They will not run a rerun of Wolf's Gravestone as like the selected weapon. They're obsessed with always having the Sky Swords or whatever. It's so rare to have a Wolf Gravestone rerun.
I
And
think
like
they
that was
added
the
a
last
new
thing.
banner about this where
Yeah,
they
they allow you
bring
to actually
back
choose the weapon you want now.
old weapons, old
Yeah.
characters. But I haven't. I'm supposed to
Again,
be entering sometimes this week because I want to recover on the story because
yeah.
my whole Genshin playthrough on Twitch is literally me going through the entire playthrough just to prove that
Hey,
you can
nice.
do with the characters that free to play
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, yeah. That's cool.
Because there was a rumor at one point that Genshin is really unfriendly to new players because some stuff is stuck on the other side of the map and stuff.
Mm,
But from my playthrough, by the time you have enough, like resources to reach Inazuma, you can already reach Inazuma basically when you
yeah,
need to level up the character. And Sumero
yeah,
can literally be reached by just walking there. And because of the level cap, the enemies there aren't particularly stronger than normal enemies. I literally
yeah.
tested it out, so the whole oh you can't get the stuff until that level is thick. You can
Mm,
totally do it. You have other issues, but that's not one of them.
yeah. I mean, like, there's a whole thing about like difficulty of combat and stuff as well, where like they do tend to, especially on like high, like world level levels, some of the monsters are just such a dick to deal with if you don't have the specific character that is meant to counter their mechanic.
Yeah, for example, if you want to defeat specters easily, you need
Mm,
a combination of Raiden Shogun and Yoimiya. Like
yeah,
I have that combination. I assure you, I never had an issue farming for these. But that's because I
yeah,
have the right character combination to just snap them before they ever get a chance to heal each other. If not, you're gonna lose your hair from
yeah.
pulling it out with your own
Which
hands.
sucks. And like, okay, so here's a I think what caused us wanting to do this podcast um talking about Genshin is you stopped into one of my streams where I was playing Wuthering Waves, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was complaining about how they just don't explain anything in a way that it makes sense. And Genshin is definitely where this started. Not so much in the early ones, because early characters you can just understand. Like you
Yeah.
can be like, okay, so Diluc, you hit E, and then he can do his skill.
And
He
then
can
you hit
combo that
E
three
again.
times.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can E again and you can E again and that's it.
Whereas more recent, you like the joke in my chat was like more recent Genshin characters, and especially Wuthering Waves characters, you have to be a lawyer to try and decipher what the hell these characters even try to do.
Uh
Because it's not
this
just like you have a basic 5-hit combo and then you have a state that you can turn into. It's like they're all like named weirdly, where it's like if you hit with your uh, fadeaway blow hit of your fourth combo strike, then you gain a stack of Death's Defiance and Horror's Design, and then you can use that when triggering the Mega Gunch state. And it's like, okay, now I have to search for the word Mega Gunch state in any of these other abilities.
Okay,
Okay,
so
so it's
the
active, this,
issue
that, and
is
the other.
I don't know about Wuthering Waves. I think they suffered from the same issue that I had with Monster Hunter, where
Mm.
they just throw everything at you at once and good luck.
Like,
It's literally the equivalent of fly, bitch. Um,
yeah. I mean, like, it's
and
not so bad with early characters, but they have so many levels of obfuscation with Genshin, like
but
especially in the later characters.
for Genshin Impact, I know exactly what the issue is, and it's back to stop listening to the players. You see, this problem would have been solved with a little thing called power creep. Because
I
with
don't
power
know if
creep, all
that's
you
so
have to do is
much.
just make a character more powerful than the next.
Yeah.
But people cried that, oh no, not my favorite character, don't power creep it. And then you got Dea, and you'll never be able to dry those tears because if power creeping was a thing, then Dea would have been absolutely totally useless. And the reason why it becomes more and more complex is because the more you go, you cannot power creep. So if you cannot power creep, you're trying to figure out a new way to play the characters. But there's a limit on how much you can do. Literally limit on how much you can do.
Mm.
And if
But then, like, that becomes its own form of power creep because then you get more complex monsters, which they then have to create more complex characters to deal with those more like they keep cycling it in a weird way, where like you mentioned the specters, like if you don't have those two characters, then you can't really deal with them, which means that there has been power creep, and there are characters that specifically counter those things, which means you have to buy to be competent, which
and
sucks.
they still haven't found a solution for healers, which
Yeah.
exist but don't do anything.
Well, their solution for healers was here, your one character gets hit and now your entire team is poisoned and losing health. And that happens through shields. So now you have to use healers
Yeah,
rather
but
than it being
now
healers being
Zhongli
the dominant
has been
strategy.
power crept.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Zhongli has been power crept out of the game because he used to be like kind of strong where he could shield you for a good while, which I mean any shielded character can do that because Noel can do that as well.
Yeah, but
And
Noel wasn't as good as Zhongli, honestly.
well,
No
no,
character is as good as Zhongli.
he wasn't as good because Zhongli would heal as well as shield, right? I think he had like a regenerative thing on his shield, if I remember rightly. It's been a while since I've touched the game.
No, Zhongli
Uh,
doesn't have any heals, at least not on C0. I'm not sure later
right,
on, but on C0 he definitely does not have anything. And C1 and C2 do other stuff. Hold on, let me
right.
think.
In which case, Noelle is actually a little bit better because like she might have a lower capacity shield, but I remember like when she has her shield up and she hits enemies, the character like she heals the entire team.
Mm,
Like Noelle's such an everything character. She's genuinely like the best character in the game to me. I have her in like so many builds. Um, but I digress. Um, Basically, like that character gets power crept out of the game because they have to come up with answers to what players are doing. It's a whole thing in game
and
design.
then there's characters that have to this day no actual functioning use. Rest in
Well,
peace, Jingyan.
yeah,
Rest in peace, Goro. Why did
yeah.
they do my boy Goro like that so
Goro's
hard?
actually really good in. He does have like a very good use. I have him on a mono geo team
Yeah, that's
where
his only good use in a Mono
yeah,
Geo team.
but that actually wrecks shop. Like that has my Ito dealing like insane crits. Specifically because Goro's there and he's putting
Yeah,
his banner down
that's
and all this.
basically the best combo you have. Is
Yeah.
either Ito or I would use him without Beto. But
Mm.
you don't beat, like the new combo of Dendro and Electro or other Dendro combinations, where are actually the best reactions now. So since you don't get those, the poor Geo is an afterthought,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah, it's rough. I wish that they were more competent at balancing things. Because like when you get a new character, you have to like I said, you got to go full lawyer and try and figure out what the hell this character even does. And I don't know, maybe I'm just getting old and I'm just getting extra burnt out with this kind of stuff. But when I played Wuthering Waves, I was like, okay, this combat seems like really fun, but why can't you just call things what they are? Like, why does it have to like? I remember being so confused when I first started Genshin because like, why can't you just call it energy instead of resin? Like, resin is something from a tree. Like, it doesn't make sense to call it that. Like, there's
Probably
so
because
many
you
like
use it at a tree most of the time.
I guess, but then you use it on I guess the other things
The
are
ley
kind of plant
lines.
themed. Yeah, it's weird. Like, why would you put resin back into a tree? I guess to bring it to life. I don't know.
You gotta give the tree its blood bags so that it drops you the
Yeah.
artifacts that are hanging in the branches.
That's definitely how trees work, and the resin comes from a
It's
person.
book growing trees.
Yeah.
Yes, I go to the book tree. I give it some resin. It drops some books for me.
Yeah. And like I had this problem really bad in Wuthering Waves where I was like, I got an item that's like, this gives you 60 wave plates. Go to a person on the street and ask them what the hell a wave plate is. And they will go, maybe it's a piece of armor or something, or like protective shielding. No, that's stamina. Like
Damn.
Genshin was the beginning of this, and I feel like a lot of gacha games have like taken it and kind of run with it to the extreme.
Honestly,
Where
I blame Elden Ring. To this day, I have no clue what any of that means.
what do you mean?
Yeah, Elden Ring is absolutely chock full of this kind of stuff. You know, like
Yeah, I mean, like
go to
Elden
two
Ring.
fingers, and the scrub nailer will give you a diggly doot to poke your ear with. It's just
Don't
a
forget
bunch
to
of
reach out and touch grass.
nonsense. Everything they say is nonsense.
Yeah. But
Can
I
they
feel like
speak like normal fucking humans?
that's definitely a contrivance of George R.R. Martin having to adhere to the souls nomenclature of like, oh, you've got currency, which is souls, you've got a resting point, which is bonfire. Now, here's all of our things, here's all of our weird game stuff. Make that Game of Thrones, and he's like, oh god.
I'm not sure.
And then I
Is
feel
it
like
Game
that's why
of
that happened.
Thrones? I have no idea what Elden Ring is. I don't even know what the story is at this point. I can't
Oh,
keep
no, no.
up.
So Elden Ring is made by the people who made the Dark Souls franchise,
I know that.
but it's written by George R.R. Martin, who's the person who wrote Game of Thrones. But he made the story and everything, like all the theming, etc., for Elden Ring, just its own thing. So Elden Ring's its own thing, but it's written by the guy who wrote Game of Thrones.
I
So
mean,
they,
it looks dope. I'll give you that, but
yeah,
I still don't know what the story is. I still to this day don't understand. So Tarnished, I don't know if that's to this day I have played a bit of it, but I still don't understand if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It
the
sounds like a
fucking
bad thing, but it just seems to be like it's game's version of Traveler
yeah,
because
100%.
it's
That's
just
exactly what it is.
everywhere,
Because
and it's just
it's
and it
like tarnished, chosen undead, traveler, operator, sensei.
oh my favorite is Rover. Woof woof.
Oh my god, I was losing my like. Somebody popped in my chat who'd never seen that game, and they were like, "Did you name yourself Rover? Is this some pet play thing?" I'm like, "No, no, the game made me call me that. I have a name. Look, I put it here." They're like, "Did you do that?" No. How dare you?
I just when I play the game, I just literally bark every time. I just woof woof.
Understandable, honestly.
I mean, just, do you agree, Rover? Woof woof.
Bork?
Because it's just yeah. I'm sorry. I think it sounds better in the original language, but the translation is really unfortunate.
Yeah. Well, here's okay. So this is kind of moving into more Wuthering Waves territory. There were so many text boxes where the character just kept talking, and there wasn't enough space for the text to stay on the screen.
Yeah, you can complain
So
about that on the
yeah,
the review or not review. My
like
brains.
on the stream, yeah, they'd be like yapping for like way further than the actual text read. I was like,
No, the
hey, do
survey.
you guys? Oh, survey.
Yeah, they have a survey, and one of the questions I know because they asked me, and one of the questions was like, "Is there other scenes where the text goes other way?" And I'm like, "Yes, yes
They're
they
aware
are,
of it.
yes they are." And are you bothered by a certain the way? Oh no, I think that was actually for AFK Journey.
Oh.
I think that was actually AFK Journey asked me about that, but I was thinking about Wuthering Waves because that's if I were to make a little anecdote about Wuthering Waves. I hate Yang so much.
Which one was she? Was she the lead girl that just kind of always talks like she's taken like 50 Percocet?
Yeah,
like,
that's her.
half a
The
second
girl,
falling
the girl
asleep.
that will go like, we don't have any milk. I guess.
Yeah.
I guess we're supposed to go to the shop.
Yeah,
You know,
and
like,
like your
speak
character
like a normal fucking human.
Yeah, your character's taken a mortal wound, and she's like, "Are you okay, Robert?" It's like, show more concern, please.
It,
But I mean, it goes with the thing of like the characters not really being well-rounded characters. They're just kind of anime tropes on steroids to make you spend money.
honestly, the first three girls are literally the first three girls in any harem ever.
Yeah, they're your RGB waifus.
Yeah, literally the soft and like mama one, and then you have the spunky energetic one, and then you have the dark and cool one, and boom,
Yeah,
got it.
pretty much. You gotta buy your waifus. Purchase.
I mean,
Consume waifu!
I wouldn't have started playing it if it didn't have boys, because I was like, I'm not interested in any gacha game because it
Yeah.
serves a certain demographic that I'm not part of, so I never
Hmm.
play. If it doesn't have any boys, I am not interested. Like Nikke, didn't touch Nikke. The
Yeah, yeah.
other game,
Oh, you mean you don't like the ass jiggle when they shoot the sniper rifle?
sorry, sorry, I'm not into girls. If they have a boy that does that, I might be interested.
Oh yeah, the ball physics. There you go. Colonel, I'm
I,
trying to sneak around, but
I
every time
forgot to
I lose,
tell
my
you
ball
that
sack
boys
collapse.
have asses too. I mean, I don't know about you, but normal boys have asses too.
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, like, okay, sure, girls ass jiggle, but where's my boy ass jiggle?
Yeah, I'm in for equal jiggles.
Exactly. Well, like gender equality. I'm not bothered if you have fan service. If you're fan service in both directions.
The funniest one that I noticed with Wuthering Waves, a character was just standing there, and her boobs were just undulating. Like she wasn't even like visibly doing like the shoulder like raise and lower of like ambient breathing, but her boobs were just a wobble, wobble, wobble. They were just going. And it's like this is it's a certain point where it's too silly, and we reached that point ages ago with High School of the Dead and the tit matrix scene.
Yeah, I'm not, I don't talk about that. I don't want to think about that. I know exactly what you're talking about, even though I haven't watched the anime.
The enormous flappers when they flop around the bullet. It's
I
so dumb.
know! I
It's the
know about it.
funniest stuff in the world.
I hate it so much. That is the epitome of that's not how women work. Consider liking and subscribing. Thank you and goodbye.